Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Is it okay if I open my notes? Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So welcome to today's session of value class. As Mataji said, we'll be discussing the topic of humility. So when they asked me, they gave me a list of topics, and I looked at the list and I saw humility was there. And I thought, yeah, I can speak on that. It looks familiar. But it's only when I started to contemplate on this topic that I realized how deep it is and how unqualified I am to speak on it. So I'm seeking blessings from all Vaishnavas here that I can speak something of relevance. So we just completed our study of the 6th canto. We learned about a very special devotee of the Lord, who is Chitraketu Maharaj. So we learned how Maharaj Chitraketu attained the association of Lord Sankarshana, and he became the leader of the Vidyadharas. So one day, while he was traveling in outer space in an airplane with the women of the Vidyadhara planet, he wandered into the bowers of the Sumeru mountain, and there he saw Lord Shiva embracing his wife Parvati. He had his wife Parvati on his lap, and he was seated in an assembly of the Siddhas, the Charanas, and many sages were there also. So Chitraketu Maharaj was very surprised to see such a behavior from Lord Shiva, who is an exalted devotee. So he made some comment that how wonderful it is that Lord Shiva, who is such an exalted personality, he's acting like an ordinary person, and he's embracing his. She cursed him that you should be punished by taking birth in the family of demons. You should become a demon so that you wouldn't dare to commit such an offense again. And when Chitraketu Maharaj heard himself being cursed, he descended from his airplane, he bowed down before her with full humility, and with folded hands, he accepted the curse. He did not retaliate, he did not explain himself, he did not protest, he just accepted the curse as an act of destiny. That was his humility. In the canto before that, we also heard about another devotee of the Lord, a great devotee, Jarbharat. Although he was a very exalted personality, but when he was caught hold of by the men of King Rahuguna, he was made to carry his palanquin. He did not protest it out of natural humility, he just accepted it. He considered that by carrying this palanquin, he was destroying the reactions of his past sins. So the question is, what is this humility which gave Chitraketu Maharaj a place in Srimad Bhagavatam? Although he was born as a demon, he got the body of a demon. And what is such a speciality, this humility? Why is it so special that today also we are discussing Jarbharat? We're discussing his exalted character. So what is this humility? I looked up the meaning of humility, and it says, the feeling or attitude that you have no special importance, that makes you feel better than others. It also means lack of pride. So you have no special importance. Now, everything that we hear around us nowadays, especially, it is all about self-esteem. It's about yourself. You put yourself first. That is the current situation. That's what we hear nowadays. And this is totally contrast to what is given in scriptures. You think that you are not at all important. I mean, you have really low self-esteem not to think yourself as having any importance at all. So, is that correct? Is that right? Are we not important? I have a question for everyone. No, huh? We're not important? What do you say?
Tiny in the big scheme of things.
Tiny, yes, that's the correct word. That's the word I was going to use too. Thank you. So it means that you do not consider yourself to be the center. Humility is not an inferiority complex. It is not that you think yourself less. It is just that you think less of yourself. You don't think that you are too big. You don't think yours. You think yourself as second. You don't put yourself first. So in chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, from verses 8 to 12, Krishna gives the process of knowledge, how one can get knowledge. And this knowledge refers to spiritual knowledge, not knowledge of the material world. So it is the knowledge by which we can realize the truth. Who am I? What is the nature of things around me? What is my connection to these things? What is God? So that is the kind of knowledge Krishna is referring to there. And Krishna gives the list. So the first item is amanitvam, humility. That's the first item. We all know it's not possible to learn anything if we don't have some degree of humility. Because people who think they already know, they can't learn. So it is said that those who know that they know, they don't know. And those who know that they don't know, actually they know. And that is why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita in the 4th chapter that tad vidhi pranipaten pariprashnena sevaya. So Krishna says, by submissive inquiry, we can learn the truth. We all know that if we have tried to teach someone, give someone instructions about anything, if they're not humble, then it becomes very difficult to deal with them. And we have some experience of doing some services in our centers. And it becomes so difficult when even one team member is not willing to receive instructions because they are so proud within themselves. Pride is the opposite of humility. And we don't like being around proud people. Do we like a snob? We don't like people who are snobbish or they are proud. They could be very qualified also. There are people who are very beautiful, very learned, very rich. They are very skilled. But if they are arrogant and proud, we can't work with them. Because arrogance ruins everything. Isn't it? Nobody wants to deal with proud people. Nobody likes proud people. And Krishna doesn't like them either. Krishna does not like to be around proud people. In fact, managers prefer to work with incompetent, or not incompetent, maybe unskilled people, humble people, rather than deal with people who are very qualified but who are snobbish, who are proud. People don't like to deal with them. They don't like to hire such people because that's what they check, what is the attitude of the person. When we have false ego, when we think I'm right or I'm better, then it's not possible to learn anything. We can't learn even material things. What to speak of God? I mean, even if we have to learn A, B, C, D or anything, even material, we enroll ourselves in a school where material knowledge is given. If we are not humble, we can't learn anything. It's not possible. Humility has also been listed as one of the angas of Sharanagati. Anukulasya sankalpa, pratikulasya varjanam, rakshishyatiti vishvaso, gopatritve varanam tatha, atma nikshepa karpanya. So karpanya is what? Karpanya is humility. When we first became a devotee, That is one of the first things we learn also about humility. We learn how to pretend to be a humble person. We pretend to be humble, right? So we say, oh Prabhu, I'm so fallen. We learn all this jargon, this ISKCON jargon. I am so fallen. I don't know anything. We make the show of humility. Of course, even a pretentious display of humility in the beginning is not bad. At least it sets up some etiquette. It gives them a sense of etiquette, how to deal in a society of devotees. Radhanath Maharaj says, fake it till you make it. So we can at least fake the humility until we really get the real thing. So we have all kinds of this humble jargon. We see, Prabhu, I'm so fallen. There are actually wars amongst devotees. Who wants to get the dust of the lotus feet? They trip people over. Oh no, Prabhu, give me your lotus feet. Or I want some Mahaprasadam off your plate. They keep snatching each other's places, things like that. So this is all in the name of humility. So humility can be of two types. One is false humility, and the other is real humility. So false humility is when you think internally that I'm a very great person. But externally you display yourself as extremely humble and fallen. You make a show of being fallen, of not considering yourself to be insignificant. But internally, what are we thinking? Somebody gives us little bit praise, little bit appreciation, and think, oh yes, now they know me. Now I have arrived. So now the world knows what an asset I can be on this planet. So that is what we are thinking inside. But externally what we are doing is, yes, Prabhu. And we are physically also, we are so down and so bent and like that. But inside we are wanting more and more appreciation. That appreciation is honey for the ears. In Hindi they say, ye dil mange more. Right? So we are hankering for it. We are thirsty for adoration. Of course, everyone needs to get appreciated for their contribution. There's nothing wrong with it. But if we are hankering for it, if we are thirsty for it, then when we don't get it, then we get frustrated. That only means that our false ego is not being soothed. It's our false ego which is being rattled if we are not humble. Real humility is when we are in sync with the reality. When we know what is the truth. And what is the truth? The truth is, as Prabhu said, that we are tiny. We are Anu. And the Lord is Vibhu. Yes. We are not just small. Prabhupada says we are infinitesimal. I mean, we are smaller than small. We are small, so small that even small, the term small is big for us. There's a story about Srila Prabhupada when he was traveling to San Francisco. So Prabhupada established ISKCON, the Hare Krishna movement in New York first. And in New York, he initiated many devotees. So one couple was Mukund and Janaki. And when they got initiated, they were living together as boyfriend and girlfriend. So after initiation, Prabhupada suggested to them that, why don't you two get married? And they agreed, and Prabhupada did the wedding ceremony. And after their marriage, Mukund and Janaki moved to the West Coast. They moved to San Francisco. And they realized that San Francisco is a very fertile ground for establishing Krishna consciousness. So Mukund wrote to Prabhupada that, why don't you come over to San Francisco and establish Krishna consciousness? We can start the movement here. So Prabhupada agreed, and this was Prabhupada's first air trip. And he was going with his secretary, whose name was Ranchor. He was a 19-year-old boy, newly initiated, dressed up in a nice suit and tie. So he accompanied Prabhupada. And while the airplane was descending in San Francisco, so Prabhupada looked down from the window and he said, look how tiny the buildings look from up here. They look like matchboxes. Imagine how they look from Krishna's point of view. And while studying cosmology in Canto 5, we came to know how big the universe is. We saw such big distances. So there were such big numbers of everything, such gigantic celestial bodies. Everything was so big. And when we were going through it, what I realized was, how small am I? Everything is so big and we are so small. So if we are looking from Krishna's vantage point, how does Krishna see us? We're sitting here in this room, are so small, and this room is just a small area in Vrindavan, which is a very small town in the state of Uttar Pradesh, which is a small part of India, which is a very small part of the whole planet Earth. And this planet Earth is just a small piece of, not a speck of dust in this entire universe about us. We'll just become part of history. Every now and then, someone will remember us. But how much influence do we have now, and how much influence will we have after that? The world was just fine before we arrived here, and it will be okay when we are gone. One disciple said to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I am most fallen. And Prabhupada said, everyone knows that. Prabhupada said, you are the most nothing. Prabhupada put him in place. One devotee wrote to Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, I have a big problem. And then he signed it, your insignificant servant. So Srila Prabhupada turned to his secretary and he said, how can an insignificant person have a big problem? So we have to realize how tiny we are. It could be that we have many accomplishments. We could have achieved a lot in our life. But we have to remember what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. In the 7th chapter, Krishna says, Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryayo pranava sarva vedeshu shabdak hai. Anyone complete that? Parusham Nishu. Krishna says, I am the ability in man. So all intelligence that I have, every skill that I have, whatever wealth I have, whatever name, fame I have earned in my life, belongs to who? Me? Everything belongs to Krishna, because Krishna has given it to me. It does not belong to me. And what is the proof it does not belong to me? Anyone wants to say?
It can be taken at any time.
Yes, it can be taken away at any moment. Krishna does not need my permission to take things away from me. Krishna does not need to do that. In an instant, things can change. Everything that we own, everything that we have, can be taken away and will be taken away. It will not stick to us. When we came here, we didn't have anything. When we will go, we won't have anything. Actually, the only thing that we have is our small independence. It's our minute independence, our very minute independence that we have. That is the only possession that we have. And that possession has also been given to us by Krishna. If Krishna did not want, he wouldn't give us this independence. But the only reason why we have it is because it's Krishna's prerogative. He wants to give it to us. He does not interfere with our independence. That's his nature. That's how he wants things to be. If he wanted, he could take that away also. But he doesn't want to. He wants us to have our independence and make our choices. So the only thing we have in our possession is our free will, is our minute independence that we have. And what we do with it, that is up to us. So everything belongs to the Supreme Lord, yes, Krishna. So one person said to God, I think this story was related to us by Prashanta Mataji when she was teaching us Isha Upanishad, that one person went to God and said, you've created so many things, and what's the big deal? See, I have made so many buildings. I'll also make my own building. So God said, okay, fine. Go ahead, make your own building, do it. So this man went around collecting the raw materials, and God stopped him. God said, no, get your own stuff. Get your own sand. Get everything that you need for building, that should be yours also. So we don't have anything. And the story of Alexander the Great, we all know, that he conquered everywhere. But when he left his body, he gave 3 instructions to his ministers. The first was that whatever possessions I have, you should throw them on the road. The second instruction was that my body should be carried by my doctor, by my physician. And the third was that both my hands should be out of my coffin. It was to show that whatever possessions we collect, we can't take them with us, because they don't belong to us. And even if you have the best physician, he can't protect you from death. And the third was that we came empty-handed, and we go empty-handed. Even Alexander the Great went empty-handed. We can't even take a needle with us. Srila Prabhupada says, there was a story where Prabhupada says there was a man in Calcutta who was dying, and he was begging the doctor, please give me a few more minutes. But the doctor can't do that, because it's not in our control. We are so small, so tiny, and everything has been given to us by God, by the Lord. Even these bodies that we are so proud of, we think we are the body. That is the cause of our existence in the material world. That avidya, that misidentification with the body, that is the cause we have the body. This body also does not belong to us. We don't even know what's happening inside the body. Sometimes there's so many diseases, they are growing and growing, and by the time we get to know about them, it's too late. So we don't even know what's happening inside the body. We're so eager to taste delicious prasadam, nice rasgullas and gulab jamuns and the cakes and everything. We look at them, we want to just devour them. But what happens to that cake once it's inside? Nobody knows. Right? So we think we are the body, but we don't even know the body. So then the question is, what is it that I can be proud of? How can I be proud of anything if nothing belongs to me? Where is this pride stemming from? Right? Nothing belongs to us, still we are proud. So once we accept this reality, then we can become humble. Once we accept reality, nothing belongs to us. We can see the demeanor of if a person is serving somewhere, a servant who works in somebody's house, a house help. So you can see how they conduct themselves. They know nothing belongs to them, so they do their job, but they don't have the feeling that they own anything. So that is why they do their job nicely, but they don't have any pride, and they're so humble, because they know nothing belongs to them. So when we realize that I am not so great, actually it can be quite liberating. Pretense is such a burden. If we are pretending to be great, I am very big. To carry that pretense is such a burden. Once Srila Prabhupada was I think he was in London, and there was a big storm the night before. And then Prabhupada went with his disciples for a morning walk. So while they were going, they saw, because of the storm the night before, many trees, big trees had fallen. They were fallen on the ground. And there was this one lone tree, a thin kind of tree. It was standing. So the disciples said, Prabhupada, why have all these trees fallen? And this single tree is standing, what's the reason? And Prabhupada said, that's because their crowns were too big. Their roots weren't deep enough. And this single tree which is standing, although not so big, but it had deep roots. So humility is that root that keeps us grounded. It keeps us in our place. And the crown that we build, I am such and such, I'm such a big devotee, I can be whatnot, it is a burden on us. We can't even control our bodily functions, but still we are so proud. So we should understand that whatever skills we have, whatever qualities we have, they are Krishna's gifts to us. Krishna has given. Krishna is so wonderful. He shares his qualities with us. We are his parts and parcels. So Krishna gives what is his, he gives a little bit to us also. And he gives us because he empowers us. He wants to empower us. We are his instruments. So once we realize how Krishna is great, how wonderful Krishna is, he has given us all this, whatever qualities or possessions we have. Then we become grateful to Krishna. It's called gratitude. We develop gratitude for Krishna. Gratitude is the womb of humility. From gratitude comes humility. So when we realize, I didn't bring anything, I don't possess anything, everything has been granted to me by Krishna, then we become grateful to Krishna. And then we realize the truth. Aren't we all seeking the absolute truth? Yes? We keep talking in classes, absolute truth, absolute truth. This is the truth. This is the truth. I'm a part and parcel of Krishna. I am very tiny, and Krishna is great. Everything that I have, I think, is mine. Actually, it belongs to the Lord. And this is being honest also to yourself, right? We have to be honest. It is this honesty actually which brings humility also, when we are honest. And then we realize how merciful the Lord is. The Lord gives us not because we deserve things. He gives us because He loves us. The Lord simply loves us. Each and every living entity, each and every one of us has a special, a unique relationship with the Lord. We all satisfy Krishna in a particular way. And it is that love and satisfaction that Krishna is hankering for. And Krishna empowers us, He bestows upon us many qualities, many skills, so that we can become His instruments or instruments of the spiritual master. We all know Krishna tells Arjuna, Nimitta Matra Bhava Savya Sachin. So we are supposed to become instruments of the Lord. Unfortunately, we become proud of our achievements, thinking that I did it. No, I didn't do it. I am merely an instrument. Krishna uses a particular soul for some purpose. And when that purpose is done, it's completed, Krishna withdraws the empowerment. And the best example is Arjuna. Arjuna was able to kill so many soldiers in the battlefield of Kurukshetra. That was Krishna's empowerment. But the same Arjuna, with the same Gandiva, was defeated by a group of cowherd men. His Gandiva didn't work. Right? So why did it happen? Because Krishna withdrew the empowerment. So this fact should fill our heart with gratitude. And we can get rid of the mentality that I deserve things in my life. That mentality of entitlement. We think we are entitled to many things, right? And when we don't get it, the result is frustration. We get misery. We become miserable, right? So the nature of pride is to demand, to complain. The nature of humility is to accept and to submit. A proud person who's always demanding, who's always complaining, such a person can never be peaceful. Only a humble person can be peaceful. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Ashantasya kutah sukham. How can there be happiness without peace? If you're not peaceful, you can't be happy. The feeling of peace comes when we understand that Krishna is Sarvaloka Maheshwara. And He is Suhridam Sarvabhutana. He's the best friend. Krishna knows what He's doing. He's the most intelligent and He's our best friend. So whatever He does in our life, whatever situation He puts us in, that is for our best. That is for our own good only. And when we understand that, that is the source of peace for us. Therefore, in chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada says that humility means, anyone remembers? Humility means one should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. It's not that there is anything wrong with getting honored, becoming honored by others. If you get honor from others, there's nothing wrong with it. But one should not hanker for it. One should not be greedy for it. Because it is such a big burden. It's such a big crown to carry. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Amanina manadena. We should not hanker for honor. We should give honor to others. We should give respect to others. And if we are in such a state of mind, then what we can do? Kirtaniya sadahari. We won't be agitated. When we walk into a room and people don't recognize us, and we think we are a big gun, we're a big person. Nobody recognizes. recognizes us, that creates kind of a, we get rattled. Why aren't they offering me respect? And when we walk into a room and everyone is saying, oh Prabhu, oh Mataji, and our false ego is getting satisfied and it's so nice for us, you know, that we like. But that is not the real situation for us. We should understand the reality, what we really are. And if we are rattled by that, how can we do Kirtaniya Sadhari? Can we chant the holy name of the Lord peacefully? We can't. So the devotee is not interested. The devotee does not suffer from the PLP syndrome. Anyone knows what the PLP syndrome is? Yes, Prabhu. Puja la pratishtha. The devotee does not suffer from it. Prabhupada says we should not be proud of borrowed blooms. Right? We get something from somewhere, we got everything from Krishna, we are proud of it. Devotee does not want it. The example is Madhavendra Puri. He was there at the Shir Chor Gopinath temple. And the pujari was going to tell everyone that Gopinath has stolen that kheer for Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri left that place because he didn't want to become famous. A real devotee does not aspire for that. We see our previous acharyas, they are so full of danya, of humility. All their prayers, their songs, they're all the time so humble. I mean, it's surprising. Sometimes I think, why are they so humble? I mean, we can't even relate to their situation. We can't even understand where they're coming from. How come they are so humble? I don't have an ounce, not even a pinch of that humility. How can they be so humble? Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Narottam Das Thakur, Krishna Das Kaviraj, they say, I am lower than a worm in the stool. I mean, even to consider that thought for us is difficult. Even to consider it is difficult, but they think they are lower than that. How can they think like that? It's beyond me. So every time we get appreciation for what we do for our services, we should remind ourselves how fallen we are, how tiny we are. And we should pass it to our spiritual master, to the parampara, to Krishna, because it is not possible to do anything without them. I'm sitting here giving class. I'm not qualified. The words I'm speaking is only the words of Srila Prabhupada and senior devotees. But the problem is that I will get into my head that, I am a good person, I'm a good speaker, I'm a good devotee. And that is going to create problems for me. So, whenever we get appreciation, we accomplish something, we need to pass it to Krishna, to the spiritual master, to the parampara. We see Radharani. Radharani stands in a particular pose. So she has her one hand in the form of Ashirvad. She's giving blessings with one hand. Now she gives blessings with one hand, but with the same hand, she's stopping all the nonsense also that we are creating. So if we have nonsense thoughts, if we have a nonsense attitude, if we don't have the right attitude, Radharani will stop us also. So therefore we have to be careful. What is our attitude? And when we understand our real situation, when we are humble, and we understand that Krishna is my Lord, Krishna is going to take care of the situation. Whatever situation I am in, I have been put into it by Krishna. Then we give up all kind of defending also. All kinds of quarrelings, they leave us. Because so much of our energy is wasted in trying to prove ourselves. We have so many arguments with people just trying to prove that I'm right and the other person is wrong. We all know the famous story of Rup Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, how Digvijay came, Rup Narayan Saraswati, he came, and he had conquered the 4 directions. He was the Digvijay. Nobody could defeat him in debate. He was so good. So he approached Rup Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. He said, you come and debate with me. And they said, no, they are busy writing scriptures. They are busy doing their services. They are so humble, they have no need to prove themselves. They said, no, we can't debate with you. You are the scholar, we are not. He said, but I have heard you are good scholars. you have been empowered in this and that. They said, no, people love us. That's why they say these things about us. Doesn't a mother think that my child is the most beautiful? So those devotees, they love us, and that's why they're saying, we are very good. We are not actually that qualified. We are just doing some humble service. So Digvijay said, oh, if you are not good, then you have to sign the Jayapatra. They said, yeah, fine, bring it. And they signed it and gave it to him. And he went around showing it to people. See, I have defeated Rup and Sanatan have accepted. They have submitted to before me. And then Jeev Goswami found out about that. And Jeev Goswami was so offended. So was Jeev Goswami not humble because he got offended? He was not humble. He was full of pride? Humble. Then why did he protest? He protested actually.
He wants to prove that Rupa, Krishna, and Sanatana was saying
So, yeah.
because he can't take that offense, that they are lower than that big which
Yes.
prove that they are better.
Yes. So it was not for himself. It was for these two Vaishnavas. So he went and he defeated for 7 days, I think, on the Jeev Goswami had a debate with Rup Narayan Saraswati, and he defeated him. And when Rup Goswami found out that Jeev Goswami had done this, Rup Goswami was very angry with him. And he said, how dare you do that? You have not really come out of your pride. You still have that need inside you to prove yourself. You are not fit to live in Vrindavan. I banish you from Vrindavan. So Rup Goswami banished Jeev Goswami from Vrindavan. And Jeev Goswami was, some say that he was living in the hollow of a tree outside Vrindavan, and some say he was living in a crocodile's cave or some hole, crocodile hole, something like that. He was eating, I think, mud of the Yamuna, and he got dysentery from it. And he was so sick. So he found out about this, and he told Rup Goswami, you're not following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions. Rup Goswami said, yeah, he gave me some instructions. I'm following all of them. Which instruction am I not following? The Sanatan Goswami said, Jive Doya. So it meant Jive Doya means you're not being merciful to Jeev Goswami. So Rup Goswami understood what he was saying, and he called him back. Of course, when certain situations arise, when we are not treated properly, there are practical things that we should do. We can do and we should do. We can't imitate these. These are topmost examples of humility. We can't imitate them. We can't imitate Jad Bharat. Somebody tells us, lift my suitcase, and we carry it on our heads. We can't do that. Jad Bharat was taken in front of Kali, goddess Kali, to be sacrificed, and he just stood with his hands folded. We can't do that. We can't imitate. If something is done externally, we do what is required, but internally a Vaishnava knows that this situation has been arranged by Krishna. The famous verse of Lord Brahma, Tattenu Kampam Susamikshemana. Yes, that famous sloka. So, devotee does not try to prove himself. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't prove himself to Ramachandra Puri. He didn't say, I haven't eaten sweets. Just because you saw some ants doesn't mean I have eaten sweets. He didn't say that. He didn't try to prove himself. So, a humble devotee is satisfied from inside. Externally, he might do something to take care of the situation, according to time, place, and circumstances, but his internal mood is different. We have Haridas Thakur, who was beaten in 22 marketplaces. Still, he was praying for the people who were beating him. For us, if there is a nice feast, there are 12 items in the feast. One item is not given to us. Immediately protest. Immediately, how come I didn't get that, right? Pakoras went by, and we were going, where is the pakora on my plate? I didn't get it. Yeah? That is not the mood of a humble devotee. There are devotees who cook feasts, and they don't even taste the food. They don't eat the feast because they have cooked them. To have the right mood in their mind, in their head, while they're cooking. If they think, I'm going to eat it later, then what is the mood of cooking then? Where is the offering to Krishna? We have a devotee in Melbourne. He is somewhere from Europe, some Czechoslovakia or somewhere, English. So this devotee, I saw him cutting pumpkins and other vegetables also, but mainly pumpkin. He was always sitting at the back of the temple where the kitchen was, and he was just cutting pumpkins all the time, or cleaning the dishes, washing big pots. And he never came to the front. He just kept doing it for years. He has been doing for decades. Such a humble devotee. He's such a big example. Everyone gives his example everywhere. A humble devotee does not see himself fit even to go back to Godhead. We have the example of Uddhava. The Lord was going back to the spiritual world. He did not complain, why are you not taking me back with you? I am your constant companion. No, he thought, Lord has given me a service, I better do my service. Right? He aspires to become a blade of grass in Vrindavan, so that the topmost devotees of Krishna, the gopis, can walk on that and he can get some dust off their lotus feet on his head. Haridas Thakur is so humble that he never entered the temple of Jagannath Puri, Lord Jagannath's temple. He never entered. He always offered obeisances from a very far distance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to visit Haridas Thakur every day. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu brings prasadam for Haridas Thakur every day. But Haridas Thakur never went inside the temple. That is such an exalted devotee. We have Sanatana Goswami, who was once invited by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for lunch. And that day, Sanatana Goswami was so late. So when he arrived, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, where were you? Your house is not far away. How come you took so much time? Which route did you take? Did you come from the main road or did you come from the beach? He said, no, I came from the beach. And Sanatana Goswami had blisters on his feet. Why did you walk on such hot sand? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked. He said, because I have boils all over my body. Sanatana Goswami had boils on his body at that time. And there is so much pus and blood is oozing from it. And on that main road, so many priests are going for service of Jagannath and so many Vaishnavas are walking. What if somebody touches me by accident, their cloth touches me and that they become impure? I didn't want anyone to touch me. So that is a humble devotee. If there is no humility, even if the Supreme Lord comes in front of them, they will not recognize him. Who is the best example of that? Yeah, Duryodhana. The Lord was right in front of him. He couldn't recognize this is the Lord. And opposite is Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj is humble. Duryodhana is proud. Yudhishthir Maharaj was asked to go around and find one person who is lower than him. Duryodhana was asked to go around and find one person who is better than him. Yudhishthir Maharaj could not find one single person lower than him. And what about Duryodhana? He couldn't find one single person better than him. Pride is such a bad quality that in the spiritual world, there is no entry for them. Because no one is proud in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, even the plants and the birds are humble. We have so many nice, sweet smelling nice flowers, flower-bearing plants in the spiritual world. But everyone prefers Tulsi Maharani. Even the plants are so humble. There's so many nice birds in the spiritual world. But when the bumblebee comes, everyone becomes quiet. The cuckoo stops singing when the bumblebee is humming. So it doesn't matter really how many people we have preached to. We could have preached to so many people. We could have made so many devotees. But there is one person that we might have forgotten to preach. Who's that person? Me. It's not you. It's me, right? So if we forget to preach to ourselves, we will not get entry in the spiritual world. We might be learning many shlokas. We might be doing so many courses. We might have the intellect to, in Hindi they say, baal ki bhi khal utar dena, right? To turn everything upside down, inside out. We might have that kind of intellect. But our real achievement in devotional service has to be the quality of our consciousness. What is my attitude when I'm engaged in devotional service? With what attitude am I doing it? That is what I should be concerned about. Nobody else can do that. In front of everyone, we can show, I have done Bhakti Shastri, I have done Bhakti Vaibhav, and so on and so forth. I can say, oh yes, I'm doing so many house programs every week, or I have contributed to the construction of so many temples. We can check the quantity of our work, how much we have done. That we can check. Others can also check. Others can say, oh, this person, yes, he goes to every meeting. He's part of the temple management and he's doing this and doing that. That quantity everyone can check. But nobody can check the quality of our devotional service. That quality only one person can check. Who is that? Me. Of course, Krishna and Guru also know, definitely. But it is up to us to check that quality. We are all work in progress. We are not there yet, right? So we don't know when that final moment will come for us and we'll be asked to quit our body, just like Ajamil. We saw Ajamil. He didn't know how quickly his life went. He was so engaged in sinful activities. Of course, he was a sinful person, and we are all devotees here. We are also engaged in our own way, going about life, doing our thing. We don't know when the final moment is going to come. But that point is going to come. And maybe at that point, I'm speaking strictly for myself, I might think, what if I think that I did not achieve what I could have achieved? I did not reach the point in Krishna consciousness, that point of advancement in Krishna consciousness, which I should have. I am not far away from where I started, right? So we can be doing many things, doing many services externally. It is like surfing the waves, right? They get a surfboard and they're on the waves. This is very much prevalent in the Western countries. So people get on a surfboard on a nice sunny day, they go to the beach, they're surfing the waves. And the bigger the waves, the more fun they get. Everyone is surfing the waves. But when you are surfing the waves, all you get is sand and foam. When you come out of the water, you're just all muddy, all sand all over you. If you want the jewels, if you want the money, for that we have to dive deep into the ocean. And when you dive deep into the ocean, this is my understanding, not many people are around. We don't see many people when we dive inside the ocean. You might be the only person. So we have to dive deep into our own realizations, into the ocean of our own realizations. We have to grow deep into our realizations. For that, we have to be humble. We have to cultivate this quality of humility. Sometimes we are so busy in the noise outside that we don't hear the inner voice. And maybe that is why people become some people are very loud, Maybe they are so loud because they don't want to hear their inner voice. And actually we are in Kali Yuga, so the noisy you are, the more acknowledged you get. And the quietest devotee who might be very humble and very qualified, they just get unnoticed. They're not, nobody knows about them. But that is good for them also, not to get all these things, the prestige and everything, not get contaminated by PLP. So, humility is when we put aside our own agenda and we take up the agenda of our Guru and Krishna. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, stop looking for Krishna in the groves of Vrindavan. A sincere devotee sees Krishna within the order of his spiritual master. So, we should pay strict attention to what our spiritual master has instructed us to do. Of course, we get the general instructions from our spiritual master, from Prabhupada. We should be serious about that. We should take up the agenda of Krishna. We should take up the agenda of our Guru. And that is real ekatvam. We all talk about ekatvam. To be one with the desire of the Lord. What the Lord wants us to do. What the Lord wants us to be. Krishna loves us. And yesterday also in class, Prabhu was discussing that whatever situation we are in, it is because Krishna wants us to be in that situation. He puts us into that situation because he wants us to be the best version of ourselves. Slogan nowadays, right? You become the best version of yourself. What is the best version of myself? My best version is my spiritual version. That is, I am not this body, I am the spirit soul. That is the best version of myself. So to realize that I am my own identity, that should be my agenda. Because that's Krishna's agenda also. And when the devotee reaches that stage of ekatvam, of having the same desire as the Lord, then he can say to the Lord, like Srila Prabhupada said, in Markine Bhagavad Dharma. So Srila Prabhupada said, what did he write? That, oh Lord, I don't know why you have brought me here. Amidst these people who are so much affected, influenced by the modes of passion and ignorance. But, oh Lord, if you have brought me here to dance, then make me dance. Make me dance. Oh Lord, make me dance as you like. So that should be our aim. A good disciple is, it is said, that when the spiritual master says, so the disciple says, how high? So let's aspire at least to be, let's have that aspiration, let's have that desire. Whether we are able to do it or not, that's a different thing. But let's have that aspiration. Hare Krishna. If somebody has to say something, some correction or comments, Mataji.
No, just a reflection that first of all, it was very nice, so many examples, and it's quite a rich presentation. And it's the beauty of these classes on the values that as we hear, as we said, one must hear the inner voice and introspect, and in order to improve oneself in Krishna consciousness. So when we hear these classes on the values, it's like there is a scanner going. There's a scanner. You get scanned at the same time. There's a scanner which is going, and you're like, yeah, and to go through the scanner. I love these classes because each and every quality, you can really see how much you have of it and how much you lack it, and then you get so much inspiration to actually, make an effort. Although we heard, of course, our effort should be just to practice pure bhakti, but it goes in parallel. Anartha mentality also means that we identify the anarthas, we become aware. So, thank you, that was a nice scan. Anyone else? Yes, in the back there, Madre Brani. You'll have to come closer, maybe.
Krishna, I have a question. So, you mentioned that whatever qualities we have, we don't deserve them. It is given to us by Krishna because he loves us. So my question here is that, as we know from Bhagavad Gita and in general our philosophy is that whatever we have in this life, it is a result from previous life. Whatever disqualifications we have, it is because we have offended or done something in a previous life. So the same way, if we do have some qualities, it is also because it is from the previous life. And in that material cycle of karma, Krishna doesn't even get involved so much. You know, he is involving directly with devotees. It is just like a sanction what's happening. So, like Prabhupada said, if someone is very rich or richer than you have to give him respect, because in the previous life he has done something good. That's why he is more rich than you, so he did more good than you. So how is it that we don't deserve what we have?
Yeah, so the statement was that we should not think that we deserve. We should not have a sense of an entitlement. So somebody is rich, and I think, why is he rich? Why am I not rich? So what you said, that is the devotee's perspective. But everyone does not think like that. Even within devotee circles, we might have some devotee who's on very high position. There might be devotees who are not so recognized, not so popular. So the one who's not so popular will be thinking, why am I not popular? So that desire, that feeling of entitlement should not be there. Krishna will give us what we deserve, but we don't think that we deserve. So when we think that I don't deserve, then we feel gratitude for whatever we get. Yes, Mataji?
Yeah, I'd like to add also that Krishna is the Shakshi and is the Anumanta. And we know very well that when we, even those who do the yagyas to the demigods are giving us all these qualities. But unless Krishna sanctions, nothing comes, even if it's our karma. So ultimately, the source is always him, and it's not automatic. It is automatic to a certain point, but it's not fully automatic. It is Krishna who is always, the energy comes from him, and it is, yes, it is given to us according to our karma, and that is true, but still, because he allows it to come.
Yeah, that is true.
It's because he allows it to come, and if he doesn't allow it to come, then it doesn't come. Even the way it comes in terms of time, sometimes we do something either good or bad, and the reaction comes immediately. Sometimes it comes after 10 years, 10 lives, 100 lives. I deserve, but you have to wait for 100 lives, according to Krishna's planning. Because Krishna has to manage everything. He manages millions and millions and millions of living entities, all producing their own activities and all interning to each other. Imagine the puzzle, how to tit for tat everything everywhere, when it's going to come, when you're going to meet that one again, this line, that planet, this, that. It's like, whoa, this is in the third canto, the movements of the living entities. Oh, wow, this is Dham. Now, how Krishna manages this whole show, who gets their reactions when, or who is placed in which place to meet the people he's supposed to meet, that totally unimaginable. And it's one of the other puzzling things of the greatness of Krishna, like the fifth canto, you said that the size of the universe, the many universes, and every time you breathe, there's more and more. It's like you become tinier and tinier and tinier and tinier and tinier to the point that you practically don't exist. It's so insignificant. This word insignificant is like, only when you read the Bhagavatam, you start thinking, wow, they're really very insignificant, But we are not insignificant in the eyes of Krishna. We count for him, because we are people, and he's a person, and we are eternally related. We can never be separated from him. And that he always knows, we forget. but it's not exactly automatic. Even when there is the creation, Krishna Mahavishnu glances at the material energy and it gets in motion. And after some time it stops. And he has to glance again, and then it continues. And then it gets stuck. And then he glances again. Every time he has to give the go forward. And it's the same with all whatever qualities we have. You know, it's true. It builds up in terms of material qualities. It builds up from what we do. But Krishna always sanctions. Okay, you know, you deserve, get it, get it, get it, get it. But we can't forget this, that it's not us. Otherwise, this is the karma mimamsa philosophy. There is no God. Why? Because it's written in the Shastra that
Karma is there.
it's karma. So where is the God in that? He is not supreme in the sense that he is committed to give you the result of your karma. He's not.
Yeah, that
So-
point is, yes, sorry, continue.
Yeah, but Krishna is always the supplier
Mm.
of whatever it is. He's always the supplier. So that we have to always see that everything comes from
Krishna.
him.
Yeah.
And here we are involved with the work, but everything comes from him. This is the proper understanding. And then there are many things that Krishna gives when we become devotees that we don't deserve. That's the bonus that Krishna will bestow, as we said, the empowerment to do something, you know, that we could never, you know, according to our karmas. It may not be exactly there, but Krishna gives more. He gives more. He gives more, he takes away. And then that becomes very different. He's empowering, taking away for us to improve, to change our mentality, to all that. So, yes, it is true that there is a law of karma, but Krishna is the Śaktimaṇtā.
Yeah.
And unless he gives the go, it cannot be. So, yeah.
While studying Ajamil, so I mean, I was thinking that Ajamil just chanted Narayana. He had Vishnu Dutas, when Krishna sanctioned Vishnu Dutas to come, no? So when is it ever going to happen to us? We have been chanting, we do services in the temple, we read scriptures. Of course, the explanation is there. It was Namabhas and this and that. There is there. But as a devotee, I felt, isn't it unfair? He had such a sinful life, and that at the end of life, he just chants Hare, like Narayan, and he's he's saved from the whole thing. So of course, like you said, Krishna sanctions. Yeah. Mataji, you were saying something.
I just wanted to ask a question in the middle of that explanation, that these offenses that we make, these offenses that we make, in the middle of the explanation that you gave about karma, I want to ask this question about offenses that we make while performing services or while being with the devotees. So, at what point do the offenses actually solidify and become karmas? Do they, or is it just in this whole system of Śaktimaṇtā that something is sanctioned or sanctioned, or?
The offenses are not to do with karma, but the offenses, what they do is because we cannot separate the jivas from Krishna. It's one entity. It's ultimately there is, Krishna is one without a second. There is only him, and he has multiple types of expansions. The jiva being one type, and endowed, as you said, with limited or the independence. Minute. This minute independence is given to the jiva. So, when we worship Krishna, we have to worship the jivas together with Krishna. We cannot separate it. So you cannot be a good pujari and insult the people who come to attend the puja. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Krishna doesn't take it like that. So we cannot just be doing our service, whatever it be, and neglect the devotees in one way or the other. It just doesn't work. This is also taught in the Bhagavatam that one who worships Krishna has to understand that he is present in all the living entities, namely in all the atoms. You don't unnecessarily go about kicking things. Krishna is everywhere, in each and every atom. Somebody, I don't know if it was Prabhupada, somebody was giving this example. You can see the mentality of people coming into a temple room somewhere. Somebody enters and sees, oh, there's a mat in the middle here. So he respectfully takes the mat, puts it somewhere. Another person comes and kicks the mat away. There's a big difference between these two people. Very big difference. One is humble, grateful, recognizes the presence of Krishna, is reserved in his meek and reserved in his type of behavior. And the other one is an unconscious fellow who hasn't understood anything. And a big ego is just kicking things around, as if he was the master of the place. So the offense is when we worship Krishna, by contact with Krishna through the process of devotion, our consciousness becomes clear. Like we clear the covering, and our consciousness, our awareness, as Prabhupada said, become conscious, then Krishna consciousness. So the consciousness grows. But when we make offense to jivas, then the opposite. The consciousness becomes covered. So if we are not careful, we worship, practice, sadhana, really, that, with the hope that the consciousness will clear. But if we are not humble and we offend the devotees, then there is it's like, when you have a weighing machine, there are two. So you put lots of sadhana, so it goes up. You make the offenses, whoop, the other side goes up. And so you're not getting enlightened. Because the consciousness is the offenses, they obstruct the growth of the consciousness. So it's not that you get sometimes reaction in the material way or visible way, but you're not progressing actually. The progress is not there. Because on one hand, you are, endeavoring to elevate yourself, and on the other hand, you are neglecting the things which actually are also required to elevate yourself. Does this answer some of your question? Yeah, so offenses which are born from pride, many times. It's born from pride, thinking oneself better than others, knowing better, doing better, thinking that the Lord loves me more than he loves others, or no one else loves the Lord. No one else loves the Lord. No one else loves the deities. No one else. All these things. And anything we think like this, it is born from some. It's a bug. It's a bug. And it's the root of many offenses. And Krishna is watching, and doesn't like that at all. It is said pride is considered the 5th sinful activity. And most despised by Krishna. Most despised. So it clouds the consciousness. It clouds the consciousness. So, and that's all I want to say right now. Anybody else? Oh yes, Purashchandji.
Hare Krishna. I have a question regarding the fact that we use the word devotee very often. Now, in order to maintain a healthy relationship with humility, isn't it better to think ourselves as practitioners rather than devotee? Because becoming a devotee is not an easy thing. I mean, the word devotee carries a lot of weight in terms of like implications and etc. Now, what do you think in this regard?
Yeah, that's true, Prabhu. We are not really devotees. We are just trying to be. So once I attended a class by Purijan Prabhu, and similar question was asked. So he said that if you're traveling, so your actual trip begins when you get on the plane and the plane takes off. But before that, maybe you started applying, like we were in Melbourne then, so he was giving the example that if we go to India, so first you apply for a visa and then you go shopping, you buy some stuff that you need. So your preparation is also a part of your trip, isn't it? So while we are not devotees, but we are trying to be. And that effort is also part of the whole journey. So the example is given of a person who didn't know what gold looks like. So he was asking people, oh, what does gold look like? You know, gold? So this person said, oh, the king knows what is gold. You should go and ask the king. So he went, and as he went, he was walking up the steps, and he approached the king and he said, oh, can you tell me what is gold? I have never seen gold. So the king showed him gold. What is gold? His whole throne was made of gold, and his treasury was full of gold. And then that person realized that the steps that he was walking on, those were also made of gold. So that path that he was traversing, the path that he took, that was also gold. So similar thing is there. We are not there yet. We are trying to be. But that process is also part of being a devotee. So bhakti is the goal, but the bhakti is also the path. That is, the marg is also part of bhakti. That's my answer, I hope.
Yeah, it is sadhana bhakti,
Sadhya bhakti. Yeah, so when we get bhava or when we get prema, that is the ultimate goal. But don't we experience some bhava sometimes? I mean, that's a rare moment, at least for me, very rare. But sometimes when I'm doing some service, maybe once in a blue moon while chanting, just a second of some feeling is there. Some absorption is there. Definitely when we are physically absorbed in some service, definitely we have some feeling. That feeling is also part of the journey. So that it can be included, although we're not there yet.
One of the reasons why I asked this question is because I've noticed that there are 2 points in Srila Prabhupada books. One is in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, when at the beginning stage of the book, basically there is a point that Prabhupada makes. He says, your devotional service is very rare. And at the same time, in the preface to the Bhagavad Gita, towards the end, Prabhupada mentions that if by reading Bhagavad Gita, only one person becomes a devotee, then he says, my work has been a success, basically. So that's why I also asked that question, because it seems like the way Srila Prabhupada puts it down is bhakti is not an easy thing, it's very rare, and at the same time, because it doesn't belong to this world. And at the same time, he also says about making a person a devotee in Bhagavad Gita. He says, if I can only make one devotee, then my aim would be a success.
Sometimes, Prabhu, I feel that we limit bhakti to just the physical aspect of it, which is the easier part, right? So changing the dress, changing the diet, that all is done. I mean, giving up tea, coffee, or alcohol, that is the easier part. But the difficult task begins when we start dealing with the mind. That is where it becomes difficult. Bhakti becomes difficult. That is my understanding of it, realization. So our conception is, I'm wearing a dhoti or a sari, I'm wearing tilak, I'm carrying a bead bag around my neck, and I'm going to the temple, attending Mangal Aarti, all the ticks are there. I'm a devotee. But how about the mind? How am I dealing with that? So if the mind, as Krishna says in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, if the mind is totally absorbed, engaged in Krishna's activities, then one is a devotee. And this is something nobody should be telling us. This is something only we should be asking ourselves. It is not for the world to see. It's an internal thing, and we are our best judges. Of course, Krishna knows, the Guru knows, that is there. But we are the ones who are on this path. It's our journey. So it should be, it's our task to work on it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. The class was so nicely organized and so many relatable examples and things. So just one thing that I always wonder about in relationship to this is like a little contradictory, right? Both from a material perspective and even as practicing devotees in a spiritual perspective, we're encouraged all the time to appreciate, right? Encouraged to appreciate everybody for every little thing that they do, right? And when I reflect on this, when people appreciate me, which they do, in my opinion, much more than I'd like them to do, but I don't feel good about it, right? Because it goes against this nature of thinking yourself that you've actually accomplished something or you've done something and so forth, right? And so I think that yes, people need appreciation, but when you appreciate them, you're really making it harder for them to really feel that spirit of humility, right? You're kind of fueling their ego to say, hey, look, you're so great, you've done all these things, you should feel good about yourself and so forth, which kind of goes against that. So I just wondered how others thought about that whole kind of dynamic.
Can I comment on that? So you're thinking that it's fueling this false ego. Don't you think that would be the test of Krishna given to the devotee?
Should we be doing that test? Should we be
So-
glorifying people and saying, hey, let's test how humble they are and how much they take that spirit?
So Krishna might do it to you. Krishna makes you an instrument. Krishna empowers someone to do big things. Prabhupada is the biggest example of that. And when success comes, how do you deal with it? That is the test. So when nobody knows you, you're doing small services, nobody encourages, nobody appreciates. That's the easy part. But when you're doing big things and appreciation comes, how do you handle it? Most people can't handle success. Most people cannot handle appreciation. It gets into their head. And that's where their fall down begins. Prabhupada was so humble, he actually only wanted to fulfill the desire of his spiritual master. He struggled so hard. And in Mayapur, he said, I can sit in a hut. I have no problem. I can do my bhajan there. But who will come? These palatial buildings are for you people. So Prabhupada was not actually attached to the success. So Prabhupada passed the test. Can we? So when appreciation comes, that is a test. But sometimes what happens is we think, oh, somebody's appreciating, I don't like it. I must be a good devotee. That is again a test. So at every point in a devotee's life, Prabhupada says, it's like walking on a razor's edge. That's the razor. Every moment is a test. And why shouldn't it be? Maya is grooming us for Krishna. We're supposed to go to Krishna. I mean, even if a small beauty pageant is happening, right? They train the models how to walk. They put 6, and I've seen some videos where they train the models how to walk. So if for a simple beauty pageant, such strict discipline has to be followed, their diet and everything. Imagine you're going to Krishna, that beauty pageant there. in Krishna's, in Goloka. How everything has to be checked. Everything has to be ticked. So every ounce, every thread of pride every thread of, Prabhupada says, self-aggrandizement, that's the word. It has to be removed. So what Maya does is, and the life of a devotee is more glamorous than the life of a materialistic person. At least they know they are materialists. We think we are spiritualists, and we get enticed by the glamour. That causes fall down. So when appreciation comes, what I say to other people doesn't matter. What's going on inside me? How do I deal with it then? That will tell Maya how much progressed I am. And the more we progress, the more she'll test us, because that's her thankless job. She is supposed to keep us down. She's supposed to keep us here. That's her job. So she's pulling us back and pulling us down also. She's covering us and pulling us down, those two potencies that she has. So she will present us with these situations. So when devotees appreciate, yes, it is kind of fueling their false ego. So appreciation has to be given very sensitive. It is a sensitive issue. So we shouldn't. There's a difference between appreciation and flattery. So sometimes we are just flattering people, simply flattering people. That is also not nice. But the right, if you're cooking a meal and you put ghee is good, but if you load it up with ghee, that ruins the whole preparation. Right? You make a sweet, a dessert, and you put too much sugar in it. That spoils it. So right amount should be there. Therefore, if devotees are to be appreciated, the right amount of appreciation is required. And everybody doesn't need it. Some people are simply motivated by their devotional service. They might not need that appreciation. Some people need appreciation. Generally, everyone needs a little bit, a pat on the back, not appreciation like big medal or recognition in front of 100 people, but some recognition. Everyone, if you can do without recognition, fine. If you get it, that is the detachment we need. If you're getting it, fine. If you don't get it, that's okay. That should also be okay with you. Yes, Mataji.
Thank you. It's a nice answer.
This discussion is so good. And I wanted to highlight, I think, a point that you made well, thank you for your class, by the way. I wanted to highlight a point that you made that I think maybe can go under the radar, and I think it's coming up in this discussion now, is that humility looks different for different people. So like, it's so easy to think that somebody who's very comfortable being behind the scenes is humble, but actually that's just where they feel comfortable. So I remember Ramdas Swami telling a devotee at the Bhakti Center that for you, humility is not staying in the back. For you, humility is getting up on the Vyasa because you have so much knowledge to share. And so on the outside, it can look like somebody who has a really big service isn't humble because, oh, they're getting all the recognition, they're so good at what they do. But I think one point that you were making was that it's that internal response. How quickly are they willing to relinquish that service if somebody else can do it better?
True.
Like that is the type. And sometimes humility for them is getting up because other people are feeling so inspired by their very loud presentation of their devotional service. Like for example, I'm a very loud person, colorful person. I'm a performing artist, and so I'm tested all the time because I get up on stage, and I'm on poem tour with Vrindavana Swami, and so I have a lot of, and I'm constantly being tested because with all the profuse encouragement, it's like, okay, but how willing would I be to relinquish this service, But it's like if I don't do it, if I don't do this service, that's also false humility because who else is going to do it in the way that I'm doing it? So it's like we each have a very special gift to offer, but the humility is like, how much love are we putting into this service? How much are we honoring the fact that Krishna is actually giving us this way of purifying us, even if it's not behind the scenes. And again, a lot of times people behind the scenes, they look humble, but that's just where they feel like they can hide themselves the most. So how you're responding to Prabhupada's answer, it's like that is an opportunity for us to go really deep in what our experience of humility is. Like you were saying, it's so internal. It's really not external at all, actually. So maybe we wanted to comment further on that, but I just wanted to appreciate that.
Yeah, it's more about the attitude. I think humility is more about the attitude, internal attitude. There are people who are proud of their vairagya. They'll wear the most drab clothes and they're proud. We have the famous example of Ramanujacharya's disciples. He had grihast couple, right? and he had some brahmacharis. So one brahmachari was complaining, everyone knows the story, but should I repeat it? Yeah. Are we running out of time? Is that okay?
Yeah, we will have to stop, but you can also.
Okay, so this brahmachari, Ramanujacharya was showing so much affection to this grihastha couple. So the brahmachari complained, why grihasthas, the householders, they are into sense gratification, this and that. We are brahmacharis, we are renunciants. You should be giving more attention to us. Why are you giving them so much attention? So Ramanujacharya said, okay, that's a project. Let's work on it. So he got this brahmachari to do certain things. So one of the things was that when all the brahmacharis of the mutt, they were taking bath in the river, so they put their kopines and their that kamandalu and things like that, little items. What big thing is there? They put them separately on the ghat. So Ramanujacharya got this brahmachari to mix everything up. And when the brahmacharis came out of the water, they thought, oh, my kamandalu, where is my kamandalu, where is my kopine? Everything is mixed up. They had a big riot amongst themselves. That tells something about the brahmacharis. And then Ramanujacharya instructed, as instructed by Ramanujacharya, this brahmachari went to the house of this grihastha couple, and the wife was sleeping on her bed. So the brahmachari, as instructed, started removing her bangles. So she was sleeping. So she was sleeping like this. He removed one bangle and then she turned. So he got scared and he ran away. He ran out and he stood outside the window to observe what happened. So this person came back, the husband came back, the wife asked him, is everything okay at the mutt? He said, fine, yeah, everything is fine. Are the finances okay? Yes, everything is good. What happened? She said, the brahmachari came and he was removing one of my bangles. And he ran, I turned and he ran away. So he said, why did you let him, why did you scare him? She said, no, I didn't scare him. I was just turning to the other side so that he can take the other bangles also. So that is renunciation. That's an internal mood. So there are people who are renounced, but they can be proud of their renunciation. They wouldn't dress up nicely. They wouldn't, they wouldn't wear nice shoes or have the worst bag and things like that. They're still proud. They can be proud. There could be a person, like we have this example of who in Pundarik Vidyanidhi, in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He's so opulent, but he is humble and he's renounced. So it's the internal mood, as you said. Hare Krishna. I think we should end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
All right, so we thank Śaktimaṇtā for giving this nice presentation on this topic, which is actually humility is actually a very difficult topic to speak on, because whatever we speak on, we have to practice it. So humility is always a very difficult topic to speak on. So thank you for being very brave and allowing yourself to speak on this topic. And thank you to everybody for listening and asking some nice questions. So we will stop here. Hari Hari. And this is the last class in the series of Bhakti Vaibhav students' classes for this particular period. But we've been thinking that we will continue next week with some more devotees giving classes, because it's very, very interesting and enlivening. So today we continue with our schedule. There will be class for the Bhakti Vaibhav and those who attend the seminar of Kavala Lochan Prabhu from 11 to 1. Then